All right. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Today, I'm talking about something near and dear to my heart, which is film school alternatives for less than $100. I didn't go to film school. I talk about it a little too much because I am just a tad insecure about it sometimes. Personally, I actually am a big fan most of the time, when I'm not being insecure about it, about not going to school. I think learning from experience is terrific, and I was lucky enough to get to learn from experience and working with other people that have been doing this for a lot longer than myself. I think that's the best way to learn. But there are some other ways to learn filmmaking and video that I think are really nice and really important, and you can do them pretty cheap. I wanted to go over my favorite avenues of learning about filmmaking that aren't film school and that you can do on a budget, because I know when you're getting started, you don't always have a lot of money, and that's kind of the reason you're not going to film school. At least that's how it was for me. So we're gonna start off top of the list with the obvious one. YouTube. YouTube is free. YouTube is great. YouTube is the reason that I got into filmmaking in any way, shape, or form. I originally got really interested in Nerdwriter because he had a terrific video about Bon Iver's Holocene song. I was so fascinated with the way that this dude broke down art, and I loved every second of it. And then he did one about Casey Neistat. I'd never heard of him before, and so I went and watched Casey Neistat video, and I was hooked from that point forward, and that just kind of spiraled out of control. That was where it all started, and then I got into Peter McKinnon videos because he broke down editing in ways that made sense to me and were understandable, digestible. I was watching filmmaker videos, and this guy edits, and lessons from the Screenplay, and all of these YouTubers that are dissecting film and how to make great film. YouTube is such a great resource. I will say, take everything on YouTube with a grain of salt. Find the people that you really trust and love, and fact check and cross-reference a lot of YouTube, because there's people like me that are just spouting things on the internet, and sometimes that's not great, and you learn some bad habits from watching people on YouTube. Number 2, and we've talked about it before. Let's illustrate it. Screenplays. Screenplays are really important. If you want to learn filmmaking, you gotta read films. You gotta read them. You gotta know how they are written, right? That's just, it's really important. I didn't get into reading screenplays until probably 2 years ago, and I wish I had gotten into them from day one. I think it's really important to read a myriad of different types of screenplays, from people who are just screenwriters to people who are writer-directors, like Christopher Nolan, Ari Aster, or to people that specialize in something. Like Sorkin is terrific at dialogue, right? If you want to read great dialogue, go read The Social Network. I always say, start with the movies that you already love, go read the script for it. If you want to hear more about learning from screenplays, go check out the other video, Learning from the Greats or Legends or something. I posted it a couple weeks ago. But screenplays, go watch them, go read it. That brings me to the next one, which is watching movies. Watching movies, underrated way to learn about movies, especially if you start looking into great directors and why they got into filmmaking. It's almost always because they loved movies. For me, when I was first getting started, this was actually one of the first things I did, especially once I started getting into YouTube. I heard Edgar Wright say in an interview that he tries to watch at least one movie a day when he's not shooting. one of his movies. So I started trying to do that. And so I went to IMDb and I found the top 100 movies. I think it was technically a top 250 list, but I wanted to watch the top 100 movies in like a year or so. And I didn't even come close. I was ripping through these great movies of all time. And so that was a great film school for me, where I was watching the greats. Since then, I've discovered like you can find lists of directors' favorite movies on like Letterboxd and various blogs and stuff. So I'll leave a couple of those down below because I have Scorsese's list that I want to work through, as well as Tarantino's list, and maybe also Nolan's. I'll link a few of them down below and just start watching more of them because it never hurts, and you're probably going to be inspired too. Another free one is podcasting. Podcasting, or listening to podcasts, is pretty free, depending, maybe it's $10 a month if you pay for Spotify or something. Great podcasts out there. Team Deacons, Film Riot podcast, Show Don't Tell. What was it? I think it's called the Rich Roll podcast is really good. The Indie Film Hustle podcast is great. I will make a playlist of some great episodes, great shows, and I will leave that in the description for you. Podcasts are terrific. It took me a long time to get into podcasts, and it wasn't until the Film Riot podcast that I realized I could be into podcasting. Great option if you want to learn more on a budget. Listen to some podcasts. That's it. DVD extras. I love this. This goes along with the watching movies one. When I was a kid, I would watch the DVD extras whenever I was like homesick from school. I would like watch a movie and then watch like 3 hours worth of DVD extras afterwards. And that's really where like my initial interest in making movies came from, I think. I always say like go watch DVD extras. If you can find, sometimes they have them. I think Disney Plus is pretty good about having either like BTS DVD extra type stuff, or they'll have like a full documentary that's like 45 minutes about how they made something. DVD extras, behind the scenes, those kinds of things, you learn a lot about the process, about what goes into making a movie. That's where I'd start. Next is, second to last one, Audible. Audible, I think I pay $16 a month, maybe 17, 18, something like that. It's my favorite $17 that I spend. I love Audible way too much, and this is not sponsored, and I wish it was, because Audible's great. And I think people don't think about reading books when it comes to filmmaking, and you should, because like if you went to film school, that would be a decent amount of it. There are some great books out there. I will, as usual, leave a link down below to my favorite books that I've read about filmmaking, ones that are inspiring. You don't have to get them on Audible. You can buy them in paperback or whatever you prefer. But Audible for me just works. Reading physical books, I'm not great about. I'm not great about carving out time to do them. I'm just too busy. I love listening to them if they're good. But there have been some great books that I've been reading recently about the film industry, specifically in like the 60s through 90s. Incredible, fascinating, great piece of film history. But you can also find books more practical about, you know, how to get distribution or how to set up an LLC for your movie. Like, books are just great for learning. That's not anything new or special. But Audible has been probably my single favorite investment in myself over the past handful of years. And I feel like I've grown in my own knowledge and expertise when it comes to film exponentially more so since I got Audible. Like this past year and a half, I feel like my filmmaking went way up because of that. So get on Audible. It's also a great spot to listen to your podcast if you need it. The final one is go make things. Film school is about learning and building a network and practicing, really. And I feel like if you go out and you make things, you put things on the internet, you get feedback from people, you're going to get to the same point that a film student could get to. Eventually, it might take you a little longer. It's not going to be like in a pressure cooker like you are at film school. You're going to have to find your own network. You're going to have to create that. But I think it's so doable. And if you're doing things consistently, you're putting goals out there for yourself, I think it's very, very practical for you to make cool projects and to get somewhere and to learn. So I hope all of these things are helpful and you take something in them to go create movies, because I think movies and filmmaking and making videos for the internet are so, it's never been more tangible. It's only getting easier every single day. So as long as you're committed to learning and getting better on your own, I don't think film school is required. And I think you can do it on a pretty solid budget. So I hope these things are helpful. There's affiliate links and just general links to my favorite podcasts, books, screenplays, YouTubers. All of that is down in the description. And I'll see you next time. Peace.